Stacker News Live. I'm with my BFFs Keyan and SuperTestnet.
Hello.
Can you believe it, Super? You're here again.
I'm always in the news.
Is that what it is?
Well, no.
How was your week, Super? How was your week, Keyan? Let the stackers know.
Best week ever.
Mine was a better week than Super's was. That's what I want everyone to know.
What was so good about it?
It was better than Super's week.
You're only number 7 on the week, so it was not the best week for you, my friend.
You're right, and I should be ashamed. And you know what? Maybe it wasn't as good as Super's, but it was a great week. It was very fun. It's heating up here in Austin.
God, it's so hot, dude.
Both literally and figuratively.
So hot.
And
100 degrees, man.
I was sweating on my way in today when I was riding my bike.
I know I'm beginning to sweat and remembering what that feels like. I don't enjoy it.
It's been a hot week here in Austin. I'm excited to jump into the news. So much drama. Stacker News was popping this week. You know, there's a lot of conversations, a lot of comments. We'll dive into it all. But
there were a lot of comments.
Yeah, top 5 stories of the week. Let's jump into it. The first top story is the Grateful Dead. Cypherpunks and Bitcoin. What a long, strange tale. This had 8,765 sats, 11 comments from Siggy47, a Bitcoin post. What is this about?
Yeah, so this is about one of the original Cypherpunks, who is also, I believe, a member of the Grateful Dead.
Whoa, I didn't
at some point that I did not know. But his name is John Perry Barlow. He actually wrote the Cypherpunks manifesto. I don't actually remember reading what role he played in the Grateful Dead, but
he was the grateful one.
He wasn't the dead one. He was the grateful one. Yeah. But yeah, an early Cypherpunk, and kind of gave a backstory on him that I wasn't aware of. I thought Barlow was just some kind of random guy. I wouldn't have actually remembered his name if you said it. I would have been like, oh, that sounds familiar. But yeah, he wrote a nice covering of who Barlow is and kind of all the things he accomplished. And it ends with describing his funeral, which was as odd as I hope mine is one day, where he was laid out to rest on his bed, wearing his favorite cowboy boots, and he had his friends and family gathered around him playing
music.
Yeah, playing music.
That's
Cassidy,
awesome.
One of, I don't know if that's exactly what I want, but you know,
that's pretty cool.
It's odd.
Definitely cowboy boots.
Yeah, I definitely want to wear cowboy boots that I never would normally wear because I'm not going to be walking anyway. So, and I'll be a cowboy in the afterlife. But yeah, really, really fun post. I'm really liking these posts we're seeing from Siggy.
Yeah, Siggy's been killing it as of late with just links and these type of posts. We got Will in the comments. He says, such a great write-up. I'm a huge fan of the Cypherpunks mailing list and had no idea he started it. Super interesting. All the amazing people he was friends with. On his wiki, it mentions he was a big influence on Aaron Schwartz. Yeah.
Another person I've never heard of.
He was the one that, what did he do, Keyan? He was the one that got in trouble.
He's the one of the Reddit co-founders. At some point, he joined a little bit later, I think, than the other two. But he invented RSS feeds.
What?
Yeah, right. You're a fan.
I'm a fan.
And he went to MIT. He was attending school at MIT, I think, lived in Boston, but even after he graduated, he set up a server in some MIT closet that would take private closed journals that MIT had access to and would release them publicly. Yeah. And he got sued for it.
Then he ended up going to jail and he was like locked up, and then that's where he committed suicide. It's a really sad story.
Yeah, very sad story.
Yeah.
Apparently he struggled with depression and stuff before that, but many people believe the prosecution pushed him over the edge.
Definitely. Were you a Deadhead fan, Keyan?
I have never gotten into the Dead, but I recognize that there are certain musical genres that pair well with other experiences, and I suspect the Grateful Dead is one such pairing. But I've never really spent much time listening to them. You know, they have popular songs that I would probably recognize, but I'm not
You can never buy any of their albums and go to their concerts.
I mean, no one buys albums anymore, but yes, even when that was a thing, I probably wouldn't have done it. And yeah, but I might. I mean, it is improvised music.
Not a very grateful fan.
No, I'm not a very grateful fan. Do you have any thoughts on this piece, Super?
No, I don't. I don't know anything about anyone or anything.
That sums it up. You heard it here first.
I didn't read this post, so
Yeah.
All right. Our next top story is Musig Playground. Send BTC with many people while looking like just one person. This is 14 comments, 9,844 sats from SuperTestnet. Is this the same SuperTestnet that's in this room?
This is the one.
Doxed.
I met my stretch goal for the week, and I made it into both Stacker News and Knobs. So I was really happy about that. Top 5 of Stacker News, I should say, and Knobs. Bitcoin, my favorite Bitcoin newsletter.
Nice.
So, it was great. Yeah.
So tell us about it. I mean, tell us about what this post is.
Yeah, Musig is this thing that we started being able to do back when Taproot came out, like 2 years ago now, 3 years, and no one's ever done anything with it, really. Very, very few things use it. But it lets you create a new type of multisig for Bitcoin that's much more efficient on the blockchain. So normally, when you create a multisig address, let's say like us three wanted to make a Bitcoin address, we could do that pretty easily. But then when we want to spend from it, there's a pretty large chain footprint for that. Like it costs a lot to spend from a multisig because you have 3 different people whose signatures need to go in there, and signatures are the biggest part of a transaction. They're like 64, 70 bytes or something like that. So with Musig, you can get all 3 of us into the same thing, into the same transaction, and only have one signature, which makes it much smaller. And it also makes it look to chain analysts like there's not 3 of us. It looks like there's just one of us spending this money. So that's kind of what I did, and that's it.
So at the output, can you fast forward to the part where he shows the output, Keyan? It's towards the end, I think. Yeah. So the whole point is to get there, right, Super? And why is this important for the stackers at home?
It's just it looks like only one person is involved here. Like you can see in the details field, you kind of have to learn how to read hex, but there's only one signature there. Like that string is only one signature instead of 3. So it looks like there was only one person who had control of this money, even though all 3 people did.
It's pretty cool. And you described it when we were talking about it earlier today. You described it as like it's a tool amongst a tool set for something like an arc or something like that. How did you describe it earlier?
Yeah, I said this is one of about 8 things you need to make arc. So I want to make an implementation of Barak's arc idea, and you need Musig for it. If you didn't have Musig, then you could only have like 15 people be in the pooled transaction he creates. But with Musig, you can have hundreds, thousands, millions of people. So I needed to make this in order to make my arc implementation. But of course, that's not enough. You need some other things in order to make arc. But yeah, this is one thing you need. So now it exists, and I can proceed.
Yeah. I got Shibe in the comments. He says, anything Taproot related is super cool. Great work. Hopefully someday we'll see people switch to more efficient Taproot outputs for script multi-sig addresses. Speaking of which, and this is maybe a more appropriate question for Bitcoin Stack Exchange, but do I need a Musig 2, Musig -DN if all the parties in the multi-party address? I know simply adding Schnorr keys together is insecure, rogue key attacks, whatever, but imagine I want to set up a multi-sig address where my keys are in different locations. Could I avoid using Musig in this case, thus skipping the extra rounds of communication since I trust myself? What do you think, Super?
It's a lot of complexity to just to do a backup scheme. If you trust all the keys, you don't even need multiple keys. You can just put the same key in multiple locations. So.
Cool. Keyan, you got anything on this?
Not really. I tried it out and gave Super some feedback, and he helped me get to a point where it worked for me, and I thought it was really fun. I don't really understand Musig, and that's a complaint I have for myself. But otherwise, I thought it was cool to be able to use it in a way where I didn't have to like download a bunch of software and navigate that process or really read anything. It's just like put something in this field, open a few browser tabs, and now I've done Musig, and I
may not know what happened, but something did.
Yeah, something happened, and it happened in a way that other people might be able to see, and that's cool. I enjoyed it. I was excited about it, and I don't know why.
The freaking Brave browser that he uses blocks the requests to the JavaScript libraries I use. So if you're using Brave browser, you got to like turn off shields in order to use it, or just don't use Brave because Brave is broke.
Yeah,
and Brave is bad.
Well, you've been on a roll, man. You've been on a roll, SuperTestnet. Just knocking out the hits.
I don't know. I'm working on. I'm trying to work on a type of Bitcoin transaction where if you sign the Bitcoin transaction, you reveal your private key, and then I want to make a page where people can play with that.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's called a zero. I'm calling it zero show or no show signatures, where the signature contains your private key or reveals it.
Pushing the limits. I love it. The next top story is GitHub TonyGiorgio Onyx, a censorship resistant Nostr client for Android. See you later, Super.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. This is 15 comments, 7,163 sats from TonyGiorgio. This is on June 6th. A Nostr post. Wow.
Yeah. Did you see this?
No, I didn't see this, but I saw a lot of people talking about Adomus the other night.
My
But
feet are wet in the slime of SuperTestnet right now.
yeah,
it's okay.
so but what's all going on here?
Yeah. So Tony, I guess saw a post on Snort or was aware of this already, but apparently a lot of clients are aggressively muting or blocking people.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Like just on Nostr in general, or
yeah. So like a lot of the clients that you might use are like you paying a lot of attention to posts that are getting reported by other users. In a case where you get, and he's describing here in Amethyst, I guess, which is primarily on Android, if 5 people that you follow report a post from someone, you will no longer see posts from that person.
wow.
And it's not configurable, so you can't remove it. And Vitor, the author, developer of Amethyst, thinks it's good to keep, and he's free to have that.
That's how you silence people of let's say you were posting on Amethyst, and then some people collude to block you.
Yeah, some people hate Iranians. They hate people that wear yellow hats. They hate
but it doesn't mean your voice is
Austinites.
I mean, I don't know. How do you? Is it more on the relay or is it more on the client? What do you think?
No, it's the client. I mean, this is expressly a decision that Vitor is making in the design of Amethyst, and I think the idea is that he wants someone who the average person who might be more sensitive to certain content, certain people, to not have to see them, even if they're following them, is the other thing. It's like, so say I'm following Jack Dorsey, and you and 4 other people that I follow report one of Jack Dorsey's notes as being inappropriate or whatever, I will stop seeing Jack Dorsey's posts in Amethyst, is my understanding. That's not good. It's
already
aggressive.
Kind of annoying that there's some other clients. I'm not going to finger point or anything, but I'm just saying it's annoying already where it's kind of like Twitter, where as soon as you sign up for an account, it says follow all these people, and it's just like, that's super annoying. At least for me, it's just like, oh man, this looks exactly like Twitter.
I don't find that annoying. I think if you're imagine you just download this thing off the App Store, and you're not networked in to a bunch of Nostr people like we are. Yeah. But how do you find who you should follow?
I guess that's
So
true.
it's not a bad
global feed, maybe. I don't know.
Global feeds are hard to maintain, and
So I guess Tony, did he just create another? Did he just fork it? I guess
He forked it. He did what Bitcoiners do, and he created Amethyst Cash. No, he created Onyx.
Is it called that? It's called. Oh, okay.
Yeah, he created Onyx.
Onyx. Is that a Pokemon?
It might be. I'm not Pokey familiar, but I do like Pokeballs. But Onyx is, I think, it's also just the color black, right?
Oh, okay.
But it could have other meaning. Anyway, he created a fork of Amethyst that doesn't have this feature in it, and so if you're on Android and you don't want this feature, you don't have to beg Vitor for it. TonyGiorgio created.
Onyx is a Pokemon, but with an I instead of a Y. Looks like a hardened Pokemon. In the comments, Tony says, some context, there's aggressive spam filters and report-based shadow banning going on in the main Amethyst app. Some effort over the last few days as people try to express why this is bad, and I've even submitted PR attempting to remove the concerns. However, it has not budged the developer to remove it. This community fork that will keep up to date with the restrictions removed was born. Wow. Really took it to the man.
I mean, my point of view really is that it should be, at least you should be able to remove it. Like, you should be able to say, I don't want this to happen. I want to see everything.
You should have the option, right?
I want to see the angry people. I want to see the violent people. I want to see the dumb things that people have to say, because I'm afraid that, it might not be dumb. It might not be angry. I might agree with it.
Yeah, I don't use Amethyst. Do you use Amethyst? Have you used Amethyst?
No, I mean, I'm on iOS, and these things most people aren't developing cross-platform Android stuff yet.
Cool. Well, looks like got another project to look at. The next top story is the SEC charges Coinbase for operating as an unregistered securities exchange. This is from 0x, 40 comments, 4,765 sats. Dude, these comments on these, crazy how many comments around all this stuff, dude. It was weird. Let me just say this before you jump into it. This week was the first time where I've seen all the conversation was happening on Stacker News. I mean, you saw it on Twitter here and there, but it's just mostly mudslinging. And then Damas is very kumbaya on Damas, so people don't really complain there. But it's good to see all the engagement happening on Stacker News.
Yeah, it's good to see lots of comments or bigger comment threads. It's like one of my favorite things on any platform is like the back and forth and being able to really follow a conversation. But it's cool. But this was one of like the bigger like normie crypto stories that happened this week. A lot of spin-off related news happened as a result of this. But basically, what happened is the SEC filed a lawsuit again, or charges. I don't know what the difference is really. I'm not a lawyer, but they're basically claiming Coinbase is operating an unregistered securities exchange, and they are calling out things like staking and the sale and facilitation of trading of certain assets. I don't think in this complaint in this charge they lay out which assets specifically, but I know it's been quoted somewhere else. It's like Solana and a number. Oh, here we go. Phrasing like this: Solana, ADA, Matic, Phil, Sand. I don't know what all is. A bunch of these things. Dash, wasn't Dash the one that a lot of Bitcoiners were?
Dude, back in 2016, 2017.
They were in on that pre-mine.
Is that still around?
I guess so. But
I think everybody under the sun knew this was coming as soon as Gensler, got into that seat. At least I did. This was always going to be on the roadmap for him, I think, as the chairman of the SEC. My thoughts on it are kind of like, it's unfortunate. You don't want to see any company or any companies, get hit with a lawsuit. That's not a good thing. Just, running a company myself, that's super stressful. You don't want to see that on anybody. Obviously, the employees too. Like, you don't want the employees to get scared about their jobs and stuff. I mean, so there's real life happening here besides just our regular, beat the drum of poo-poo coins. But hard to see this, dude. It's unfortunate. Did Brian Armstrong actually say anything, or did he comment on any of this stuff? Or
I mean, I think they've been already like sparring a bit, the SEC and them. I think they actually sued the SEC like 6 months ago or something for like not giving them more guidance, or I don't actually remember, but I haven't seen anything that he's publicly said, but it tends to get drowned out in some of the noise.
It was interesting seeing Circle. So Circle kind of came out with some news today where they got the I think it was the CFTC, the former CFTC chairman. He got a seat with Circle now. So it's interesting to see how like one this way goes this way, and then this way. Game of Thrones, it seems like it's just interesting.
Picking winners and losers.
Yeah, right. It's really interesting to see how this is playing out during this whole debt ceiling thing and all this going on. Looks like the I don't know if we had any good comments in this
it's a lot. So I cited one earlier that had a little more. This one here from Victory says that Coinbase has been begging for clarification for years, but the SEC refuses to give any guidelines. So he makes a good point that, again, Coinbase had been trying to be compliant, sort of. I mean, it was at least asking for the SEC to say clearly what the guidelines are, but it should, and at least in hindsight, it's pretty clear that these things were securities, and that they were an unregistered securities exchange to some extent. And
there's a great meme. It's like, if it talks like a duck, or no, if it quacks like a duck, walks like a duck, it's a security.
There you go. That's the Howey test. Yeah, that's the Howey test. I saw this tweet from Light Bitcoin on the matter, which I thought was good. I think most of us kind of understood this is what was happening, but in very plain language, he says that it's Coinbase is taking the playbook of a lot of these other Silicon Valley startups that are in these kind of regulatory gray areas, and instead of like making sure it's good or bad what they're doing, what they do is they proceed and push through anyway, and just they're willing to deal with the consequences later because they've all kind of realized that the consequences aren't that bad when you're $1 billion company.
Yeah, it's still not a great idea to do that. Like it's going to come up and catch up to you eventually, right? Just like it's catching up to Coinbase right now. I'm sure they're losing a lot of users. They're scaring their employees. Bad for marketing, bad for business. And then on top of that, like if that's the bulk of their sales is the poo-poo coins, then that's not good either for revenue. So hopefully I would imagine it's probably just going to be like a $20 million fine, and then that's it. I mean, that's what I suspect. It's like 3 years from now, $20 million fine,
slap on the wrist,
see you later.
But they do say here, this complaint seeks injunctive relief, disgorgement.
Ooh, that's a strong word.
Of ill-gotten gains plus interest penalties.
So maybe $100 million fine.
I don't know what they're basically. I mean, here it sounds like what they're saying is anything they've gained as a result, any profits they've made as a result of it being an unregistered exchange should be paid to the SEC or the government. I don't know, but
wow,
crazy.
You hate to see it.
It's not going to happen though. I think I think you're right. They're going to get a slap on the wrist.
Our next top story, or I know, is that all the top 5 stories?
I think this is the 5th one.
Oh, this is the 5th one.
Yeah.
The 5th top story is Blue Check Manifesto. This is from Odell. 11 comments, 5,585 sats, a Nostr post.
An Nostr post. Well, you actually wanted this to be one of your top stories.
I wanted to have this as one of my stories. I thought it was a great, dude, this is one thing, dude, just, knowing Odell and just the way he looks at things, he's very like, I don't know what you would call that, but he can kind of peer into the future, dude. Like, and kind of like pull things back and then like bring it forward. And then you're like, crap, that dude was right. And if you look at all the receipts he has, like, he's been, more right than he has been wrong, I would say.
I mean, I would say he's not like a Balaji who's throwing out predictions every day.
He's not throwing out $1 million. Odell's not throwing $1 million prediction. But he does do these type of things. So if you click on the post, he basically talks about how, where Twitter is headed and kind of where Elon's mind is at, is that he's going to turn this into like a WeChat. And I 100% agree. Like, I don't, I've done my own research on Elon back in the old days when Car used to do journalistic writings and stuff on Thriller. And Just based off of my research on the guy, yeah, man, there's some darkness there, and this would not be shocking if this kind of comes into fruition. So like he goes into it, he says that to those that do not appreciate freedom, the value prop is clear. WeChat is incredibly powerful and successful in China. WeChat has become an integrated part of life in China. You use it to message your friends, buy your groceries, hail a ride, and even book a doctor's appointment. It's basically impossible to exist in China without it. The Chinese app started off as a simple smartphone messaging app in 2011, less than a year after WhatsApp was founded, but it grew explosively as it expanded into kind of a super app that takes place of Uber, Grubhub, Venmo, Craigslist, and a whole bunch of other services. And then he says here, to those that do not, or that do appreciate freedom, the concern is clear. WeChat has essentially become required to live in China, and it has surveillance and censorship integrated at its core. So, yeah, man, this is like some serious stuff, dude. I think it's pretty obvious at this point. Like if you're, and it was kind of telling too when he did the whole Doge thing, where he showed like the Doge thing, and it was like Doge for like a week. I was like, oh, this guy doesn't give a crap, dude. Like he's just, yeah. I think Elon is, yeah, man. What do you think?
Well, I mean, so some context that I think is true. He's probably like one day CEO in Twitter. So I'm not sure he's like really thinking about this very much. And I think he historically just says whatever comes to mind. But I thought this post was good. It did make me think a little more about WeChat in a way that I would normally not think about WeChat. But it made me wonder, why is WeChat in China and there's no other WeChat really in other parts of the world? And I think it's mostly because China kind of has like a fascistic type of governance where they side with these mega corporations, and then they basically are like body snatchers and embody them. And now these companies are more or less like Chinese government products. And so there's not really any way to compete with WeChat. Mm-hmm. And so so if people want something like a Grubhub, WeChat builds it in, and there's not going to be a competitor to it because China's government will prevent it so that they can continue operating.
You don't think Twitter's kind of headed that way? Meta, we saw the whole Apple Vision. Did you see the Apple Vision goggles? Like, this is clearly obvious where like these centralized platforms are even becoming more centralized than they already are, and they're gonna eventually it's gonna merge. It's gonna be like Netflix, Apple, Soft, Google. Like it's just gonna be one conglomerate. And I'm not even joking when I say that. That's probably where it's headed. Yeah, it's becoming painfully obvious. And you got Dash 1971. He says people's missing Odell's point. It's not about the money. It's about the encroachment of KYC and the opening of the door to social credit score like applications. The whole point of Bitcoin and Nostr and other freedom tech is supposed to be fighting back against centralization of the internet. So yeah, it's really not about the blue checks. It's really just about the precedents that it's setting and where we're headed, and we're falling right into it. Like no one's, I don't know. I think it's really important. And I think people need to start sounding the alarm as well. And this is why we Nostr, right? Like, gosh.
Yeah. So my only thing is I don't think there's room I don't think Twitter will ever become a WeChat. That's my prediction. Is I don't even think
because people won't want to.
No, I even think even if Elon could pull it off, which I don't think he can, being a week CEO. I think
no, man.
Yeah, I know you. I know
Tesla, like everything else is pulled off. SpaceX, a lot of those were like, how the hell did he pull that off?
Yeah, but that's not. Those are like hard tech products. It's a different kind of thing.
The social media thing.
The social is. I mean, just him getting Twitter right has been a bit of a struggle, and I'm not sure. I mean, I think many of us would think he's been making a lot of mistakes there. So I don't. And then now he's going to add in 10 other products to it, all seamlessly that people want, and somehow compete with something like DoorDash, which already, maybe you could acquire it, but I personally don't really see it happening. I think it's worth thinking about. I think it's a really interesting thought experiment, but I also don't think Elon is like, he wants to be WeChat in the sense that he wants surveillance and control and social credit scores. I think he wants WeChat in terms of he thinks it's a great business. And
yeah, I think, yeah. I agree with that, but I don't know, man.
But it definitely leads to that. If he could build a WeChat, there's no way the government isn't going to begin using it as a surveillance tool.
I mean, I hate to bring somebody like Jack into this, but like, look at Jack, right? Like he has Tidal, he has Cash App, he's developing on Nostr, he's doing all these other things, but we know Jack as an individual. He's a Bitcoiner, right? Like he would never do that. But that's my fear that comes from is like Elon, like, I don't know, man. He's not a Bitcoiner.
Right.
So that to me, coupled with the fact that he owns Twitter, let's say he owns owns like a rival Cash App business. And then you never know.
He's a bit of a wild card.
He's a bit of a wild card. You never know, man. That's all I'm saying is like, at least with Jack, we kind of know where he sits as far as like, ethically at least.
Right? I mean, we hope so. We hope we know how Jack.
If we don't, we're in trouble.
We might be.
The next, I guess, okay, this was my top story of the week, and I hate having to bring this up, but it's just too spicy not to get into it,
Yeah, it is.
This is what the stackers want.
You got to do it.
You got to do it.
You got to give people what they want.
You got to give people what they want, man. This is a post from Nick Carter on Bitcoin, Maxis, and religion. This is from FBV 007 or 000. 52 comments, 5,181 sats, 52 comments, Keyan. Stackers were piling on here. I didn't bother reading it because, like, Nick Carter's a jerk. So I just went out through it in ChatGPT. Basically, ChatGPT basically said that the post discusses a divide in Bitcoin community where one group, Bitcoiners, uses Bitcoin as a tool, while another group, Laserized or Maxis, has turned Bitcoin into a belief system or cult. The cult is made up of newcomers to Bitcoin who came in during 2021-2022 rally. They believe in Bitcoin as a moral and financial superior to other cryptocurrencies and fiat currency. They believe, dude, there's so many beliefs in here that gosh, dude. Did you read his post? Did you bother reading it? Did you just read the comments?
I read it. I wanted to know what Nick Carter what Nick Carter thinks while he's in the bathroom. Like how he thinks about the world as he's excreting from his body. But but this I thought was really a pretty bad take. And I think it's very like duplicitous as Nick Carter has kind of showed himself over time. He both says that Bitcoiners are a cult and they believe all of these things, and he's like, well, these things are kind of true, but you shouldn't really believe them very strongly. It's more or less what he says, and it's like the strength of the belief or the way we're kind of very evangelizing as a community and trying to get people to see things the way we are. That's somehow bad, I guess. But I think it starts an interesting conversation, and I think makes it clear to people that there is a divide. I think because he's attempting to create a divide, but we're all like, that's not the real divide. He's trying to create the divide that it isn't, and making it clear instead like where the divide actually is, which is like there's like this quintilionomics that's going on, and Nick thinks the quintilionomics benefit Nick, and so he's going to. He thinks that's good, and anyone who opposes that is an occult. That's someone who like that's basically
I felt like it was projection. A lot of it felt like projection. Usually, when you have these type of writings, it's almost like he's writing to himself in a way. Mm-hmm. And I also think like when I read it, at least the ChatGPT thing, when I read it, it felt like somewhere along the way, and this is me not joking around, this is me like being serious, I feel like somebody like really hurt the guy, like somebody really offended him or cut him deep in the Bitcoin space, and I don't know who that was. I don't know if it was a group of people, I don't know what it was, but you can definitely feel pain there because he describes it with so much emotional clarity. It's just unfortunate to see. I think the thing that ChatGPT really put into detail here was that he was prioritizing dogma over practical gains, and that's what he's accusing a lot of us Bitcoiners as. So what that was interesting too is basically saying it's like ideological purity, and an adherence to a certain belief system. And I don't know if that's true.
I mean, you could definitely say, I think fairly, that belief in Bitcoin gets grouped with other things maybe more than it should, and those other things gain more weight in the conversations than they should. And it should really be about Bitcoin and Bitcoin succeeding and people using it and the technology getting better. I think you can make those arguments, and I think that that's the part of his post that's right, but it's really where he begins saying calling it a cult, and because he's smart enough to know what a cult is and how Bitcoin is not exactly a cult, even though I think a lot of Bitcoiners are as passionate. Like the thing that Bitcoiners have similar that share with a cult is Bitcoiners are very passionate about Bitcoin and what it might be able to do for people. But other than that, in my opinion, there's not much similarity. And I hope we get Nick back. He seemed fine when we saw him a couple of months ago.
Yeah, let's just tell him the story. So we saw him at that thing, and I went out to him. I was like, "Yo, Nick, what's up? It's Sweaty's Cars. Nice to meet you. You've come by Plub Lab before. I don't know if you remember us." And then he was like, "Yeah, I think I do." And he mentions one of our mutual friends. Yeah. And then I was like, "Hey, this is Keyan." And then he literally went up to you. He's like, "I love your bolo." That's what he said.
Yeah,
he was fascinated with your bolo. So you and Nick are besties, it looks like. So.
Yeah, we kissed later that night. It was nice.
But yeah, he was a really kind of one of those guys that you meet. He's kind of flumpy. Is it flumpy? Is that the word? Where he's just like, "Fwah, fwah."
Yeah, no, like it seems like you could just like pour him into a mold. Like he's very glug, 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 glug. Yeah, I know what you're saying. He's liquid. He's like a liquid human being.
He's like a liquid person. But it was really strange to see this. I would love to, if somebody's out there, maybe it's a crypto person, but I would love to see this same type of like article, but from the crypto side, like defecting from them going over to Bitcoin. That would be really cool, because there's a lot of it's probably even worse on that side, I would imagine.
Yeah.
But I don't know. That was my top story of the week.
That's Nick Carter. So my top story, because I thought we should discuss all the spicy takes this week, is Prime Trust. Had some issues apparently. They were, I think their business was, I actually don't know the details, like the nitty gritty details of it, but they were having financial issues that led them to eventually get acquired by BitGo. And so now BitGo owns Prime Trust apparently. And following Prime Trust having issues, we saw Swan defect to, I think, some competing service. It's not Foundry. It's something like it. It's like Vortex or something.
Oh, okay.
Some other kind of trust or some other kind of bank that they're going to use as their back end for their exchange product. And we saw Strike even move from using Prime Trust to be following River's lead and actually building their own custody solution, which I thought was awesome.
Did you see? So even Strike too, right? Even Strike said they.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Strike.
Yeah.
That was Strike.
Oh, you said Strike.
That was Strike that I was talking about. Okay. But yeah, it was Swan is using a product similar to Prime Trust that exists.
Fortress, Johnny.
Fortress.
Says in the comments.
Yeah, Fortress. That's it. But interestingly, I don't know which post it was in, but I saw someone who claimed that they were on the inside at Prime Trust, and Fortress has the same exact issues that Prime Trust has.
Really?
Yeah.
Just because of are they what is the main? Are they holding poo-poo coins, or like what are they over leveraging? Like what is the?
I think their customer base. So one of the things I read somewhere was that the Prime Trust customer base was a large percentage of it was Binance.
Oh shoot!
And so something we didn't mention during the Coinbase story is Binance is also tied up in the SEC coming to the realization that these things are securities.
Bitcoin off.
Yeah.
Well, Stackers already have their Bitcoin off of exchanges, but
yeah, get it off again. Just put it back on and get it back off.
If you already have them on your cold card or whatever your hardware wallet is, you're fine. But gosh, dude.
Yeah.
Dang. Yeah. So it's gonna be this is dominoes.
Yeah. No. Yeah. We're not. The dominoes are still falling.
How long do you think it's gonna take before it all crashes? As far as a couple months?
I don't know. I think the macro stuff is just getting started. So I think we're probably in a very prolonged macro bear market, I think. Unless we really want to get some serious inflation going, which we might, or unless we do something else like a debt jubilee. It's really not looking good, and more of these things will fall. And crypto is especially unstable because there hasn't been much oversight in it yet, and it's just beginning to appear.
Yeah.
And people are particularly speculative with all the poo-poo stuff. So
I would say right now is a good time to be stacking. If you're using Stacker News, you're stacking every day. If you're out there and you're using Lightning wallets and whatever your thing, your wallet is, choice is, like using Fountain, using all these things, Mash, all these things. If you're using them all, even Nostr, you're stacking every day. There you go. You're stacking every day. Build out this circular economy. Now's the time to do it, because I think here, like Keyan said, like here in the next however many months, like it's you're gonna need that. You're gonna need Oshi. you're gonna need the Bitcoin company. You're gonna need all these things. It's really important right now. It's really important to make sure you're onboarded to all these things, because I would imagine, Keyan. So let's just let me paint a picture real quick. If it does get to hyper-Bitcoinization, where like literally all these things collapse, and then people start hearing about like, oh, I can make money on Stacker News, or I can go make money on. Do you think you'll ever get to a point where you'll have to be like, yo, we got to stop like signups for Stacker News. Yo, we got to stop signups for Fountain because there's just too much people coming on board. Do you think that'll ever be a thing? Where like, let's just say it just ramps up and goes J curve. Do you think you'll get to a point where you'll have to literally say, guys, we can't handle anymore? Kind of like what Domus was when that happened in in December. Do you think if that ever happened, you would have to be like,
I'm sure there might be like technological limits in the case of a J curve that would take time to scale into. We'd probably have like a fail whale year or something where we're like trying to grow into it, or we do have to stop it. But I mean, I don't think hyper-Bitcoinization happens on the backdrop of collapse, at least not immediately.
But remember in 2017 when everybody was just hearing about Bitcoin for the first time, and they started trying to get onto these exchanges like Bittrex and then like Binance, and they literally were closing signups. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I guess I do.
Do you think it would be more like that then?
Maybe. I don't tend to think in positive outcomes. I think in down. I tend to think in downward.
I can see that happening. I could totally see that happening.
Yeah, I could
totally see that happening where you have to stop it.
Yeah, there's some.
Get a Stacker account right now. If you don't have one, make 5.
Make 5 Stacker accounts. And post and comment, but in different characters, so that at least it's not monotonous.
Yeah, that's all the stories we got this week, Stackers. Do you have any meta?
We have some meta. We have so this is kind of just a rosy post. I wanted to bring attention to it, but it was nice. It shared his first. Hopeful Sat shared his first impressions of the site, and I thought I really like the part where he talked about the economics and how he was hesitant to pay, because I'm really interested in what that's like for maybe someone who doesn't think the way I do. And he said he was hesitant, and then kind of got over it. But I suspect there are people who are hesitant and they don't get over it. But I really enjoyed that part of it. But otherwise, it's like kind of typical rosy stuff. And I just wanted to mention it. And then the next,
did you see Darth Coin's post? It said Bitcoin news with sats from the plebs, for the plebs, by the plebs. Make the news great again.
Yeah, good old Darth Coin.
Got a show title right there.
F Reddit. Bitcoin news from the plebs, for the plebs. Oh, that's pretty cool. I like that. I like that tagline. Bitcoin news with sats. I should maybe steal that. I'll have to send Darth Coin some sats for that when we get off. The other meta was we talked about adding another sub. So we recently added Nostr, and that kind of got the conversation starting. Well, like maybe we should just add more because like people want it. Why don't we add something new and see how it works and if people like it? And so we had a conversation about what we should maybe add, and got a lot of great answers. I'm personally kind of leaning towards tech.
I think so. I tried posting. I was on a call earlier today, and I was showing somebody Stacker News because we were talking about bounties and stuff like that, and like I was like, oh, let me paste this Stratechery article, and then I looked. I was like, oh yeah, there's not. It's Stratechery articles,
Where's
not
it go?
Bitcoin.
Is it Nostr?
Yeah, so I just left it put in Bitcoin, but
yeah, I saw that article. That was a good article.
yeah.
It was a positive review of the
Yeah, he
vision.
always does really good. Ben
Ben
Thompson.
It's like I think it's like one of the most popular newsletters in the world. Really.
Yeah, I've been following for a long time. He's great. Anyway, what I was going to say, but yeah, so you're thinking more tech.
I'm thinking tech. That seems to have the most kind of
Yeah, that would
support
be
for it,
pretty
and
easy.
I know there's a lot of content out there for it. And what's nice is you can throw your the Stratechery in there. You can throw in a programming thing, and it's like general enough, but also specific enough. And also there are a lot of like tech enthusiasts, obviously online, and then also coincides with Bitcoin users quite a bit.
I got one thing that I was on the call today, and I couldn't find the bounty right away, but I see how it is here. Maybe there's, I don't know, is there a better way to do this where we have?
I mean, yeah. So what Car is describing. Let me see if I can.
Go to post.
I might be able to go to post, even though I'm not
Yeah,
logged
but,
in.
That was the only thing.
Here we go.
Yeah. So that was like trying to figure out how this could be. I don't know. I'm not the guy to figure this stuff out, but it just was.
It was hidden. So what you're describing is Car said he was looking for the bounty post button, but he couldn't find it. But
now I know.
Now it's hidden and under more. He'll probably never forget now, but before he couldn't find it. But so part of the reason why it's designed this way, and I'm not sure it's the right way because I'm not a professional designer. I'm just a man who built a website. But the reason why it's designed this way is like, imagine you're a user for the first time. This is Car coming to Stacker News for the first time, not looking for an advanced feature, just trying to figure out what to post. Imagine I had 5 buttons here. The moment you land on this page,
It'd be too much.
It's kind of overload. It's a lot of choice. It's like having 50 cereals to choose from at the grocery store. So it's a bit of a hidden advanced.
Maybe the
feature.
word isn't more then. Maybe it's
Other.
Yeah.
Maybe it's other.
Maybe
other,
it's other.
other post types.
Yeah,
Maybe.
or maybe a different word. But yeah,
That's
anyway.
that's a good insight. Yeah, I'll
but
think
yeah,
about
we were
that
trying
more.
to figure out to do like a freelancer thing on here, and like you could do it with bounties and stuff. But
Yeah, if you need any help with that or have
Yeah.
feedback, hit me up.
Cool.
You
Well,
know
that's
me.
cool. So you're thinking tech then, maybe?
I'm
Zekas?
thinking tech. What did other? Oh crap! I already lost my spot. Let's see if I can get it back. Here we go. A lot of Carmen chimed in and said health. ZeroXTR said listed a bunch of them, but again, tech is in there.
I think tech works because technically, like, where else are we going to go for tech? We'd have to go to Twitter, right? Or we'd have to go to our individual.
Yep. Hacker News, the programmer types are probably more
but at
like,
least, at least this way we can just find it all here. Yeah, it makes more sense that way, I think. Even like science too would be cool.
Science would be cool. So science is another one. And then I did a little bit of I studied a little bit of the history behind Reddit and how their subs
how did they do it?
So their first sub was actually NSFW. Because they were getting a ton of porn on their front page, because they were originally just one page like Stacker News was, or like Hacker News is today.
Yeah.
And they were getting a bunch of porn, and so they needed to segregate it, and so what they did was they spun up a sub for it. And then after that, they were getting too much programming news on the front page because they wanted it to appeal to a more general audience. So then they spun out programming into its own sub. And then I think the next one they created after that was politics. And
That's when it went all downhill.
And that might have been I think that was post their acquisition by Condé Nast. I don't even know if they had subs by the time they were acquired by Condé Nast.
Dude, I don't know if you heard the news this week, but it's
a crap show. We're getting a
Over
lot
there.
of posts about it on Stacker News. There was even one guy who's like, "Can I spin up a Stacker News? How do I add different subs to a Stacker News? I'm running myself. I want to do it in another niche." And he's like coming from Reddit because he's trying to jump ship.
telling you the J curve is coming, man. It's coming. At some point, you're going to be like, yeah.
Let's hope it's not a downward J curve, but
No, it'll be an upward. It's just too the benefit, the incentivization model on here is just too good.
yeah, we're giving people money. Maybe because the world ends and
Everybody needs a job.
Yeah,
You can be a full-time stacker.
yeah.
Cool. I think that's all we got. Do you got any of the
we can do a little, even though Super stopped in here, he's not here for a super stat segment, which we have the top stackers of the week. Shibe in the top, Siggy, JK14, Darthcoin. We have an all-star cast of stackers and super stat segment. Spenders this week, Exeus at the top of the charts. Brunswick, Blockstream official came in, and I think they did a little boost into the front page. Ludon Vejante came by, spent 11,500 sats. Ethan M, EM, lots of top spenders. Car's favorite segment, given he's
I got a cowboy hat though. Look,
do you? Oh, he
found a cowboy.
He just found a cowboy hat. CLR still at the top.
I wear cowboy boots.
What is going? This
maybe just give me cowboy boots instead of a cowboy hat. Maybe.
Oh, maybe we can give you boots. I was thinking about at one point, like if you spend more money or you get a streak for a long enough time, you begin like getting more merch and stuff.
It would be cool to have a cowboy store. Then I could just buy a horse and have all these icons next to me with my sats.
Maybe. Yeah, it's not a bad.
You know how they used to have the old. Did you ever play that game, the Oregon Trail?
Yeah.
And then you would stop and you'd be like, "Oh, I went into the saloon," and you buy a new axle rod.
An axle rod? Was that actually in the game?
I miss Oregon Trail. It's a great game.
It was a good game. They should do Thunder Game should come up with an Oregon Trail.
Ah, do it.
But they should like make it futuristic.
Ooh.
Yeah, but like still all pixelated.
Dystopian trail.
Yeah. Yeah, like Pat. Yeah,
just trying to avoid all the blue checks. You're trying to avoid the Teslas, and you're just trying to get back to Texas. That's what it is. Dystopian trail.
Yeah, you get COVID on the way, and you get a vaccine. Depending on your
dude,
point of view.
This is a great idea. Somebody out there make it. Dystopian trail from California to
if
Texas.
You're listening.
Cool. We got some comments from last week from this is from Blockchain Boog. He's a big fan of you, Coop. He said, "Welcome back, Coop." This is from SNL 70 EDM.
He's a fan of you as well, Car.
Oh yeah,
he watches us both here.
We have stackers in the chat this week. What is going on? Maybe because we're doing it at 5. Maybe.
What's up, plebs?
What's going on?
Are these all from today?
All from today.
Wow.
Got Eastside Tony in there. Got Mike. Yeah, we'd love to see you guys in the Level 99 Slacker.
Yeah.
He says that he still buys albums. There you go, Keyan.
Oh, well.
I'm with you too. I still buy albums too.
Really?
Yeah, I go to Half Price Books.
Oh. Do they sell cassette tapes?
They sell cassette tapes. I don't buy cassette tapes. Usually I buy like CDs or like records. But
that's what sane people do. But I want cassette tapes.
I think you have to be a really big fan of music to buy that kind of stuff. I think get to really love music.
There's Mike in there thanking people for zaps. I think he asked at one point about the hat. Oh, there's Eastside Tony just chimed in.
Oh, he wants a hat?
He wants a hat. I'm out of hats right now. I need to figure out how to make more.
You're out of shirts too, bud.
I know. I don't. You can go to lightning.store and buy shirts.
Do they have them?
Yeah, they should still have them unless.
I asked him when I saw him in Miami to make a Plub Lab shirt, but we'll see.
TBD. See, we got pushed down by all the Nostrika stuff.
Oh wow, it's a top seller. $30,
dude. $30.
Get it? I got 2 of them.
I've got 3 because sometimes when I forget to wear deodorant or something, I would just
everybody was wearing it the other day. There's like literally
3
everybody,
people, yeah.
And then there was one person wearing a white T-shirt. We were like, get out of here. It's just like a white T-shirt. Stacker News. So it was like everybody was working for Stacker
Fiat
News.
wearing a white T-shirt without Stacker News on it.
Cool. All right. That's all I got for this week. Keyan, what are you doing this weekend?
What am I doing? I think I'm going to work. And then on Sunday, I might work a bit. But otherwise, I think I'm going to try to sleep.
Yeah, dude. I'm with you
would be
there.
nice.
I think I'm going to sleep in tomorrow and then sleep all day Sunday. I'm really tired. It's been a really busy week. It was a busy beginning of the week, but it just felt like catch up from Miami after Miami. Just like,
yeah.
And then it was the first of the month too.
Yeah. And Miami's work for you. Like it is all Bitcoiners. So
yeah. Cool. All right, stackers. We'll see you next time.
Zap.